Okay, I'm going to call the Tiffin City Council meeting of Monday, June 15th to order. The invocation and pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Horniman.
Thank you, Madam President. Would you join me in the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hernan.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Reesner.
Here.
Snee.
Here.
Doherty.
Here.
Decker.
Here.
And Hayes.
Here.
The record show all 7 members of council are present this evening. At this time, I'm going to open a public hearing for the consideration of the 2027 tax budget proposed in ordinance 26-41. Which is adopting the tax budget for the fiscal year of 2027 and directing the finance director to deliver the budget to the Seneca County auditor. Okay, if there's no discussion on this, I can close the public hearing at this time. Minutes from June 1st, regular and committee of the whole were distributed. Any changes or questions on those? Okay, those will stand approved as presented. Committee reports, Finance Committee, Councilmember Reesner.
No report, Madam President.
Community Planning, Councilmember Doherty.
No report, Madam President.
Materials and Equipment, Councilmember Jones.
No report, Madam President.
Personnel and Labor Relations, Councilmember Decker.
No report, Madam President.
Recreation and Public Property, Councilmember Snee.
No report, Madam President.
Streets, Sidewalks, and Sewers, Councilmember Hayes.
No report, Madam President.
Economic Development and Downtown Planning, Councilmember Herniman.
No report, Madam President.
Does anyone see the need to schedule a committee of the whole meeting? All right, we are under reports of the officers. His Honor, Mayor Lee Wilkinson.
Thank you, Madam President. You may have seen the email that I sent out about the press release that went out about the CDBG Downtown Revitalization Grant Program. That initial informational meeting will be this Wednesday, June 17th at 6:30 at the Collaborative in their boardroom. So I'm interested to learn more about that and see if we can get some of the downtown building owners to qualify. The Sandusky Street project, the road project that's going on North Sandusky Street, weather permitting, they're scheduled to pave the northbound lanes so that both those lanes will be open. But later this week, they're going to be prepping for the next phase of that, which will be the intersection down at Six's Corners. So they're going to do their best to maintain north and southbound traffic, probably one lane where they'll have a temporary traffic light up to help guide motorists and help them through that intersection there as things go along. Rumpke Bulk Pickup Week is this week. It's finally here. I know you've waited all year for this. It's finally here. Keep in mind that they will collect only up to 5 bulk items per household. And they are, I'm just going to list a couple of them because you can get a lot of this information off the city website. You can put out furniture, mattresses, carpet, appliances. But if you put out air conditioners, make sure that they have the Freon or the CFCs released, and it has to be tagged by a certified plumber. Would that be a plumber that would take care of those HVAC person? Okay. Mattresses and upholstered furniture should be wrapped in plastic so that they don't get soaked up with the rain. And if you need more information, check out the City of Tiffin website. The link is clear at the top of the page, and it's click on news. And it's, I think, the first or second news item there, and all this information is there for you. This week's activities, we have the third Thursday coming up this week with our first Thursday night tunes with No Eileen at the amphitheater. And then this coming Saturday, we have a night farmers market and the Eagles Tribute Concert Band. So that'll be good. And tonight we have updates to City Council from Parks and Rec with Bryce Kuhn. And then after that, we have Kevin from the Water Pollution Control Center. So we're going to start with Bryce, if you're ready, for the Parks and Rec update.
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Mayor, for having me do my yearly updates. And in our busy season, this is good. It's usually like March or April, so it's kind of catches me off guard. So I'm going to do about a year and a half of review instead of a year. Okay, Nick, I'll just
Thank you. All right, so 2025, starting off here with capital projects for us. We were able to do the CDBG project at Applejack at the time, renamed it to Louisa K. Fast Park, which is a huge improvement to what was there. 25-year-old playground equipment, if you want to call it that, two climbing items and a swing set and a shelter that you couldn't even access because it was in the middle of the north side of the park there. So with the revamping of the playground with the port and play surfacing on the middle picture there, we actually were able to reuse the shelter that was at Applejack, and we poured a slab ourselves in-house to save some funds. Picture on the right would be Nature Trails. If you haven't been down to Nature Trails, East Davis Street, we've done a lot of restoration of the riverbank, kind of got our own land back. We had a lot of invasive species, Russian olive, honeysuckle, and some tree of heavens along the side there. So big push with state to revitalize, eliminating and kind of killing off, if you will, the invasive species. So it's a wonderful viewing park now. We've had a lot of talk from the neighbors that actually dislike the parking lot because so many people are down there now using that access to the river. So there is a nice little trail with a picnic table that's on that west side of that parking lot as well to get even closer to the river. So nice viewing area there. We did purchase a new WAM mower that is typically about a $40,000 to $50,000 mower after a trade-in with state purchasing. So for you and I to go out and buy a mower like that, it's about a $115,000 mower. State purchasing puts it about $90,000 and then a trade-in. So we try to do a 4 to 5 year cycle with those just so we can get about a $20,000 to $25,000 credit towards a new mower. So we do obviously put the miles and the hours on those mowers. We entered the pump track design and build process phase. Council did appropriate $100,000 into our capital budget for 2025, which allowed us to begin the design work for that. With that, we've actually we're able to go out in the community through local foundations, different agencies, different businesses, and we're able to get another $157,000 towards that project. So we did have a total of $257,000 towards that project. $7,000 was the initial design process fund to get the piece rolling. So you're looking at about a $250,000 pump track that will be getting installed out at Hedges Warrior Park. Finally, council did approve the feasibility study for the athletic complex, which was very beneficial for our department. It's always been a long dream goal, not just my goal, our dream. Previous parks directors had just kind of passed it down, one to the other, and we were just able to do it at that time thanks to your appropriation. Those fact findings were very interesting and really nice to see that there is a need in this area, and the amount of revenue that could come into this town / county was pretty substantial. So I think that's a very key piece for us all to keep in mind moving forward. 2025 events, we were able to kick off our Oakley Park cleanup as we always do. We had our pitch hit and run competition after it had rained and we had to cancel and reschedule. We have our annual band bash, which is always a big hit before we go back to the school season in August at the East Green. We always partner with the downtown Taste of Tiffin event. Our Thursday night tunes. We're kind of it was a weird year, I think, because it was such a hot year last year. Our attendance kind of tanked a little bit. So looked at some new performers this year and see what kind of transpires this coming year with that. Special needs is always special needs community swim is always a big event for us. It's every Thursday from 11:30 to 1. Any special needs individuals are able to come use the pool for free with just a paid admission by their caretaker and or parent or grandparents or whoever would be bringing them to the pool. It just kind of allots their own time for the pool. Because it is loud, obviously kids screaming, the slides going. So it's just a little calmer environment rather than a normal operational time. 4th of July is going to be this is last year, sorry, I'm about 4 slides ahead. 4th of July is our typical 4th of July show. We always have our fun car show in the morning, which is fun. It kills kind of a 4 or 5 hour window for individuals before activities seem to happen around town, especially for us. And then we had a Winter Wonderland event that happened at Oakley Park last year. It was a huge success. I think because it was like 57, 58 degrees all 3 days, which was very nice in November. But it also really highlighted the Sutton Bank ice rink, which again would have been year 2 for us. And we had a few more skaters 2025 than we did in 2024. So about 1,800 skaters each year, which is really nice to see. So we're able to kind of touch a market that we haven't been able to the last handfuls of years without having the rink. Yoga at the East Green that is provided with yoga, Chuck Yoga, Yoga Chuck, I should say, and anywhere from 30 to 50 every Saturday. We go from Memorial Day to Labor Day. That just another nice way to give back, and it kind of again allows us to tap a market that we're able to do with our extra funds in our budget. And then I think it's Fishing Derby. I want to say it's been going on longer than I've been alive with Isaac Walton League. It's always a good time. The club members enjoy it. They love having obviously individuals coming out on their campus, especially kids. We do a field day, if you will, with one of our day camps. It was actually last Thursday. We'll have we had 43 kids that attend our day camps Monday through Wednesday out at Hedges. And then on Thursday, we have parents drop them off and we do an entire day out at Isaac Walton where we do archery, we do geocaching, we do fishing, and then we'll run scat vehicles so we can take them to Seneca Caverns for about a 2-hour window. And it worked out nice because it was like 93 degrees last Thursday. So the kids were very happy to be 30 feet in the ground and climbing steps. So revenues, this is always a fun piece because we do have a deficit to the general fund. So you can kind of see numbers 2024, 2025, big push, big difference between 24 and 25 a day emissions. Reasoning for that is I think we tapped a market with our pool rentals that we never have had before. For $150 last year and the year before, you could rent the pool out for 2 hours and have the pool to yourself from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. or 5 till 7. So that's why there's a big difference there. And it was hotter last year than it was in 2024 as well. So you can see our numbers have increased actually in all of our avenues, which is very nice to see. So we must be doing something correct. Obviously the deficits, I didn't want to show those, but those revenues do come deficits as well. Moving forward to 2026, very exciting year for us. We had the private donor project, South Point, with the private donor, John Egbert, actually was in town last Monday, and I should say last Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, do a site visit. Very wonderful guy. I hope at some point in my life I'm able to do something like this for Tiffin. Just the story in general is just something unique and fun, and it's definitely going to be a structure that will be there for quite some time. Highland Park, did a big revamp there on the shelter. It was graffitied over. Roof had a hole that was at least 6 foot in diameter on the north side, and it worked out good. So we acquired Highland Park back in the 70s, mid-1970s, with a land conservation fund to help fund it. And it just so happened we got audited this year in March. So it worked out good that we already had this kind of in the schedule to get revamped. So we're got a clean bill of health with that park and the state standings there. Picture on the right will be going down to the new South Point project, which would overlook the wetlands. So we're just going to kind of change this interway here a little bit because you have the road that would go down and go to the barn, or the trail would be to your right. And there's a lot of confusion as to where I can go, what I can do when I get down there. So to help and deter from individuals from driving down into the South Point, we're going to rework this and kind of eliminate the pedestrian and vehicular traffic accessibility there. Big one for us this year is the 4th of July celebration. It is the 250th year of America, so we're going to go out with a big boom. There's kind of our schedule. We are changing location of the fireworks. They're still within Hedges Boyer Park. There's going to be more north than east as they normally would. So we're going to be moving them to the football fields at Hedges Boyer Park across the creek. So a larger show means a more expensive show, I should say, means larger shells, which means higher up in the air. So every inch of shell we have, we need 75 to 100 feet of fall zone. So we'll be launching, I'm not launching them. We hire a company to do so. We'll be launching about 800 feet in the air. So we need about 800 feet of fall zone. So we're going to be shutting that whole north side of the park down across from the YMCA to make sure everybody stays safe during that day. We're very excited. We got Wally and the Beef. That's been like a 2-year deal to get them on site and get that in the works. So we're very lucky to have them be our main performers. And then Spoiled Rotten will be kind of kicking it off for them at 4 o'clock. So hopefully we'll see you guys out in the park that day. I know we'll be out there Saturday at 6 a.m. and we'll be leaving about Sunday at 2 in the morning. So hopefully in those timeframes, I'll see a couple of you guys out on site, but it's a fun day for us. Honestly, it's a long day, but it goes by so quick just because there's so much happening, and it is a controlled chaos mess is the best way to describe it. But looking forward to a successful and hopefully safe 4th of July for us. So big thanks to obviously administration as well as City Council for the ongoing support. Like I said, we do have a big chunk of change deficit to our budget that comes out of general fund. So there is a need, obviously, for what we do and the lives we're able to touch with the parks, the 18 parks we have, the 280 acres of land that we have. We try to get creative, with funds we have, do a lot of stuff internally as much as we can. Obviously, there's some stuff that we're not able to do in-house, but we're just very thankful to have the ongoing support from the city, but also city administration. So thank you, each and every one of you. And I think you guys all know the importance too for the parks it does for the community. So thank you. Any questions, Mayor?
Yeah, thank you. And not only that, the 4th of July, you guys are out there from early in the day till like late at night. And then the next day, you're out there again, probably before the sun rises or at least close to it, cleaning up. So that's when people come out to take advantage of the park next day, it looks like nothing happened.
Yes,
So that's
we usually, Burger King's about the only restaurant open after the 4th of July. So we'll go eat our Whoppers on the sidewalks at 1:30 in the morning. And then we're back at the park by 5:30 picking up trash for 2 hours.
Yep.
So my staff, I should say, I commend them. Lifeguards, our supervisors, it's a long day there in the pool as well. But it's all hands on deck at that point with my entire staff of 32 this year. Well, 31, sorry, 31. So yes, thank you.
I just want everybody to know how much work you put in, and we really appreciate it, really do. And of course, you probably would accept volunteers if anybody up here wanted to
Absolutely, we love
volunteer to come out
volunteers.
at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning to help you clean up, that would be great.
I should say we've got really good relationship now with Crossway. Ryan has really helped us out. He's on vacation for 2 weeks, and we were ready to call him this morning because Hedges got hit pretty hard with this windstorm yesterday. So obviously, power comes with larger numbers rather than two people going out in the 80 acres to try to clean up. But we love our volunteers, and TU was a big supporter of that this year. Their athletic, all their athletic teams, I should say, had done many hours with us, which is huge. So very fortunate. Yes.
Yeah, I echo the mayor's comments on the tidiness. I've been taking Lincoln out to Hedges more now that the weather's nice, and truly, not that it's never not looked nice, but I was like, wow, like it was very noticeable of how just great everything looked and how many people were out there too. I mean, it was very cool to see. So that is a huge tribute to you and your team. So thank you for keeping everything in that shape, so that way people can enjoy the parks that we have.
Thank you.
Councilmember Doherty.
Thank you. When's the tentative completion date for that pump track?
So right now it's looking like mid-September.
Okay.
There's a little hang up with the purchasing of the tunnel. That's going to be going for the tot track. And then we just potentially heard or acquired some funds. I don't know if it's official from the state. We were part of the recipients for that. That would help us purchase sidewalls, if you will, which extends the turns of the banks, deck boards, if you will, up on a vertical. So we'll be receiving those. So we need to modify that a little bit too. So hopefully we break ground here at the end of July, looking about a 3 to 4 week build time with that. So yes, thank you. The groundbreaking did happen. We already put the tile in the ground back in April. And we're just waiting for this. So thank you.
Yeah, Councilmember Jones.
The labyrinth.
Yes.
When do we expect that to be done?
Yeah, so that
really
will be
excited about
done
that.
within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. So the 2 weeks, and then from that, go back to our picture we had there. I don't need it, I should say, Nick, but the separation. I'm having M&B coming in to do some restoration and repaving that middle of July. We'll have a landscape come in team and kind of decorate with some landscaping around that. Dedication for that will be August 15th, Saturday, August 15th at 10 a.m.
Okay.
So we would love for you guys, those that can attend, please be part of that. If you have not seen it now, if you have not seen it yet, that picture doesn't do it justice. It's 44-foot diameter. It's massive.
It was 8:15 at what time?
8:15 at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm
Yes,
really
you were
looking
part
forward
of the
to it.
initial.
Yeah.
process 18 months
He
ago.
initially called me, and then you had the bromance going
Yeah.
on. So, so I got kind of left behind, but no, I was really excited about that one.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have anything? Perfect. Thank you, Bryce.
Thank you, Council
Thank you,
President.
Bryce. Okay. And next on our list for an update would be Kevin Hughes from the Water Pollution Control Center.
I'm gonna sit down. I have a short slideshow as well, so it's pulling it up. But I can go ahead and start. Just say I'd like to thank the mayor, city administrator, and city council for having me here and giving me this opportunity to update you guys on. I kind of end up usually halfway through the year as well as Bryce, so it's kind of like a 25 and a half to 26 and a half type presentation. So that's what I got going on.
There we go.
You can go on to the next slide. Thanks. So this one just shows our current staffing, and we have four of our guys, including myself, have a Class 3 wastewater license. We have 2 with a Class 2, and then our newest guy, who's been there a few years now, he has his Class 1. So I'm going to kind of just go through the history of the plant real quick, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed on where we're at today and where we're headed. The plant was originally built in 1955 and went online in 56. It only had primary treatment at the time. And that went on until 1968. They added secondary treatment then and chlorine for disinfection before discharging to the Sandusky. And then in 88, they added digesters and aeration tanks to the plant for secondary treatment. In 2015, the city revised the long-term control plan, and part of that plan was to get down to no more than 4 CSO events per year. And as far as the wastewater plant goes, there's multiple phases, as you guys know, to that plan, but the treatment plan had about 3 phases. So the first phase was in 2015 as well. So that part of the wastewater plant was upgraded. The bar screens you can see on the left, on the top left are our old bar screens where we had 3/4 inch gap screens, so it passed a lot of solids through there. They were mechanically raked into buckets, and the operators had to dump those buckets every morning into a trash hopper. And then on the bottom 2 pictures, you can see the new bar screens. The gap between those bars is 1/4 inch, so it screens out a lot more material, protecting the downstream equipment. And all the solids are scraped off of there into a conveyor belt, which is then washed and compressed. So your organics wash back into the wastewater to keep them in the plant. And then the paper and things like that are screened off into the waste hopper. And the other pictures on the top, the bars or the aeration tanks were also updated. You can see in the middle picture there, that's an old picture when we had coarse bubble diffusers. And then the picture to the right is when we upgraded to the fine bubble diffusers. You got a lot better oxygen transfer with the finer bubbles. You don't have to use as much energy or air to get the same kind of treatment. The blue item there in the bottom picture is the new high efficiency blower that was put in 2015. Our electric bills before we did this project averaged around $16,000 a month. And once this blower was put in, they would drop down to around $12,000 or so on average per month. So that took us to the next upgrade was 2021. The biggest part of that was to get the plant capacity from 4 million gallons to 13 million gallons. And that was achieved by adding, if you could see the highlighted round tank towards the right side of that picture, that's a secondary clarifier. That was the big part of adding capacity onto the plant. Everything highlighted in green were new buildings. We also replaced a lot of pumps in some of the other buildings. We replaced all 4 of our raw pumps. One of them was original from the plant in 55, and then the other 3 had been upgraded throughout the years, but everything was in need of upgrading for sure. The square tank is an anaerobic tank, and that was a big part of this project as well because it allowed us to achieve biological nutrient removal, where right now we still use ferrous chloride to get rid of the phosphorus in our wastewater, but starving the biological side of the plant of oxygen in that square tank and then giving them oxygen again allows them to use up that phosphorus, and we don't have to use as much ferrous chloride. We're probably about 40% less on average per year as far as that chemical goes. We also upgraded our plant generator. The previous one, we were only able to run about half the plant in a power outage. So that definitely could cause issues because in a storm, you need all your pumps. And if we lost power, we'd only be able to treat a fraction of what we could before. Also replaced the return pumps, new ferrous tanks, and we also got rid of all of our chlorine and switched to UV for disinfection, which has been pretty nice. Also part of that project, we upgraded our SCADA system, which this is just kind of the main overview of that SCADA system. Shows you the whole plant right there, and it allows us to remotely log in from anywhere that we have internet access. So if off hours, if we get an alarm call, we're able to log onto there and acknowledge the alarm, sometimes fix them. If nothing else, at least know who needs to go in. If it's a electrical problem or mechanical, we know who needs to go to the plant and respond to that alarm. But typically we can usually, it's a fault on a pump or a motor or something like that, and we're able to at least get by till the morning by logging in. So that kind of brings us up to where we're at right now. And so the city's part of the long-term control plan, like I said, was getting down to those 4 CSO events per year. And between the plant and we were looking at an EQ basin originally, like a 10 to 12 million gallon EQ basin. But the downside to the EQ basin was once it fills up, if you have multiple rain events or consecutive days with rain, once that EQ basin is full, it's pretty much worthless until we get a break in the rain, and then you can drain it back to the plant. So we ended up going with this high rate treatment. It's a cloth media filtration system. The model's called the AquaStorm. It will treat up to 32 million gallons a day. So between that and the plant, we can treat 45 million gallons a day. And if we have consecutive rain events per, day after day, we can treat at 45 million gallons a day. And I have a short video on here just to play, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of what the city's going to be spending money on, because it is a fairly expensive project. It's like 27 million. The bid was just awarded to Adina, so the construction's going to start in the next couple months, and it's set to be online by July of 28. So I don't know if you could play that video, Nick.
Aqua Aerobic Systems cloth media filters have provided the solution for high-performance tertiary treatment for more than 20 years. This technology is capable of low-level phosphorus removal and producing reuse quality effluent. With more than 1,000 units installed, satisfied customers around the world realize performance benefits, cost savings, and ease of operation and maintenance with the AquaDisc compared to other filtration technologies. The main advantage of Aqua Aerobic technology compared to other filters is the exclusive OptiFiber cloth media. Engineered exclusively for water and wastewater applications, only OptiFiber provides maximum solids removal over a wide range of particle sizes, under a variety of conditions. OptiFiber media is suitable for virtually any application and is an integral component of Aqua Aerobic Systems' complete line of cloth media filtration products, including the original AquaDisc. Operation of the AquaDisc is accomplished in 3 phases: filtration, backwash, and solids wasting. During filtration, wastewater enters the filter tank by gravity, flowing over the influent weir and completely submerging the static cloth media discs. As influent passes through the cloth on both sides of each disc, solids accumulate on the media and a mat is formed. Filtrate is collected in the center tube, then directed to the effluent chamber and over the effluent weir. Head loss created by the solids mat causes the tank water level to rise, resulting in backwashing or cleaning of the cloth media. At a predetermined level or time, the backwash cycle automatically initiates. Discs rotate slowly and solids are vacuumed from the surface by liquid suction on both sides of each disc. During backwash, discs are cleaned in multiples of 2, controlled by the designated backwash control valve. The backwash shoes make firm contact with the cloth media, maximizing effective cleaning. Backwash water is typically directed to the plant's headworks, while normal filtration continues without interruption. Due to the vertical orientation of the cloth media, heavier solids may settle to the bottom of the tank. These solids are automatically pumped on an intermittent basis by a solids waste control valve back to the headworks, digester, or other solids collection area of the treatment plant. The AquaDisc cloth media filter requires no moving parts during filtration, encompasses the outside infiltration flow path, and is fully automatic with a PLC-based control system. A history of exceptional operating experience and reliability make the Aquadisc the leading tertiary filter on the market today.
And so they mentioned on there, when the solids are collected, they're pumped back to the front of the plant or whatever, but ours is going to be at a remote location. So the solids are going to be pumped back into the main sewer line, and then they'll make their way to the plant to be treated with the rest of the wastewater. Another thing to note is, so in front of that system, there'll be bar screens, and then the water will go through those filters, and then it'll go to chlorine disinfection, and then out to the river. Okay, yeah, you can go to the next one. So this just shows some of the plant flows for the last few years. It shows like our average daily flows, monthly flows, and then rainfall totals. We treated 1,306,000,000 gallons last year at the plant in total, and didn't have any like significant EPA violations or anything. So the plant's, since the upgrade, has been running really well. So this is a page from our NPDES permit, which is our permit that's issued by the EPA. Permits are usually good for, are always good for 5 years. This one, I don't know if you can read it, it expired in April of this year. So we're currently waiting on our new permit. We'll get a draft permit, and then we'll have like 90 days or so to review that, and then ask the EPA if there's anything we would like to see change. We can ask the EPA, or it'll probably be denied, but we're able to at least give our input before it's official. And each sampling site has a code. This is a page from our final effluent, which is the water leaving the plant going to the river. So that code is 001. This just spells out, this page spells out like the parameters that we need to sample for, limits for each parameter, and the type of sample, whether it's a grab or composite sample, and then the frequency of that sample. Samples can be anywhere from multiple grabs a day to there's some that are only twice a year. And then, so once we get all our data, each month we have EDMRs, which are our monitoring reports that we send out to the EPA, just with all of our test results. We run quite a few things in-house, and then what we aren't able to run, we send out to a contract lab. We use Alloway for the most part. Well, they just became Eurofins, but we use them, and we use Bojan from Fostoria for some things. So in addition to the wastewater plant, we also maintain the city's 18 lift stations. Periodically, all of them need cleaned, some more often than others. Our guys go out and check the lift stations twice a week, pull pumps as needed. The bottom middle picture is from one pump, and those are all like rags that just built up in that pump with it. Like, that was a newer pump actually, and I think it pumped better than the last one that was in there and sucked all those rags in. And that's kind of why we always are telling people, don't use those wipes. They say they're flushable, but all that really means is they'll flush down your toilet, but that doesn't mean they're not going to cause problems downstreams as far as like plug pumps, which means backed up sewer lines and problems all the way around. So, and the other pictures on there are just some of the lift stations before cleaning. The two, like the top middle and the bottom right one, we're in the process of cleaning. That's the Vactor tube that's down there. The street department usually helps us out with cleaning of those lift stations. So this is more pictures of just pumps being pulled. And you can see in the two kind of middle pictures, that's the crane truck that the city purchased in 2024. And that has been a huge help and time saver for our guys, because before, when they were out checking lift stations, if a plug was pumped, they'd have to come back to the plant, get our loader, put the crane attachment on the loader, drive out to the lift station, which, I mean, you guys know where we're at. Some lift stations are out by 18 and 224. So it takes a while to drive that thing all the way out there, and then you pull the pump, clean it, put it back in. Now they have the crane truck with them. They can pull a pump, clean it out, put it right back into service. So it's been a huge help. We had a Great Lakes concrete restoration at the plant for the third year in a row. Just doing some work on all of the buildings that haven't been replaced. And they're the original buildings. They've done a lot of like grinding joints, replacing brick, tuck pointing. This year they worked on a lot of the window lintels. You can see the one on the top left. We had quite a few that are all rusted out. And they replaced a bunch of those, and we probably still realistically have at least a couple more years of work for them to do. We just have been kind of budgeting 60 to 80,000 a year for them to do, and then they just kind of work as much as they can until that money's used up. So biosolids land application, that's a big part of our job, is getting rid of the solids that are coming into the plant. The solids that are removed from the wastewater that come in the plant, they go to our digesters where they're heated and mixed for a minimum of 45 days. The digesters reduce the volatile solids, which are the organic matter in the waste, through a biological decompensation process. Basically, that bacteria consumes the organic material and converts it into a stable byproduct. Like methane gas is, ours produce methane gas, which we have heat exchangers that the methane gas goes to and then is used to reheat our digesters. So we're not using natural gas to do that. So the digesters are then pumped out into our lagoon, and then from the lagoon, when we have EPA approved fields that we land apply to. So like when wheat comes off in July, we're out hauling to the fields. We try to keep them as close to the plant as we can. And then again, when like beans are coming off in the fall, we're hauling. But this kind of shows the process. Like the top left picture, you can see where we're mixing. And then the middle top is, that's our 1979 International tractor and the hool pump that pumps to the semi. I don't know if you can see the guy standing on top of that semi. He's up there letting them know how much to load, telling them when it's full. And then on the bottom is at the field where semis are offloading into the ag chem, and then the ag chem injects the biosolids into the fields. It's a win-win for us and the farmers because they get free fertilizer and we get a place to take it. So like I mentioned, our tractor is from 1979. The city bought it used, I believe, in the mid 80s. And the hool pump is a 94. Both of them are, getting towards the end of life or past their end of life, but we've been able to keep them functional. But we've been looking into replacing those, but we found this other setup. It's actually a lake dewatering barge is what it's technically called. Those are the pictures on the right. We decided to go this route because so instead of like a water pump, there'll be a solids handling pump hanging from it. And that will go into our lagoon and we'll be able to do the same thing as the tractor with that and the hool pump. So it's going to replace both of those pieces of equipment, and it's going to replace one man in the job because right now how we do it, there's somebody in the tractor who gets a signal from the guy in the truck telling him when to ramp the motor up on the tractor and shut it off when the thing is full. So the way this will work is there'll be a controller that the guy on top of the truck will be able to turn the pump on and turn it off by himself. So there won't be a second person needed for loading the trucks. If you go to the next slide. So right now we're working on getting power up to the lagoon. So the guys have been doing most of the work themselves. We ran the conduit, got concrete poured on top of it. Most of the trench is filled in now. We're just waiting on a couple control panels yet, and we'll pull the rest of the wires and then have power up to it. My hope is to be using that new system by the fall when beans come off. I don't think we're going to get it done by mid-July, so that's my hope. This is just some of the numbers from last year's land application. So from the plant to the digesters, we pumped 3.7 million over to the digesters, and then we hauled 1.3 million to the farm fields. So a lot of that sludge that goes out into the lagoon, is dewatered. So, it lessens the amount that we actually have to haul. And the goal, it's usually around 3% solids when it goes to the lagoon, and we try to get it up to, anywhere from 6 to 9% solids. So there's less to haul. Last year we hauled 291 dry tons and applied it to almost 60 acres of local farm fields. Also at the plant, we have the brush facility. We took in over 4,000 cubic yards in 2025. Wright Mulch was the company that was the low bid for that last year. So that was the first time we had worked with them. They did a pretty good job. We usually keep 20% of the brush pile to give away to the public. So we normally have mulch out there year round because we're getting it from the city tree crew as well. And occasionally we'll allow commercial haulers to drop off mulch if they've done the job in Tiffin and we're in need. And also right by the brush pile, we take in leaves and we turn those at least 4 times a year. Those are broken down into compost. We took in 340 cubic yards worth of leaves last year. And October 1st, we give away that compost each year. And just if you want some, we get a lot of calls about the compost, and it's pretty good stuff. And if you want it, I would recommend you show up on October 1st. And no matter what day that falls on, in the week, if it's a Sunday, we're still giving it away on October 1st every year. So within the first week, it's usually gone. Something else that we did, we actually just kind of starting this yet, but city signed a contract with Voltus. Voltus works by, they're a virtual power plant is how they kind of describe themselves, and they pay large energy users to reduce or shift their electricity consumption during periods of grid stress or peak demand. So typically like a really hot day is when they might call you to, basically for us, we would run our generator for 2 to 4 hours just to take demand off the grid. So by signing the contract, the city gets that $12,000 per year. And then when we do respond to an event, the city gets an additional $1,425 an hour while we're curtailing. And we did this with Enernoc years ago, but when we upgraded the generator in 21, it didn't meet the standards that the EPA had at the time. But Voltus actually reached out to us at the end of 25, I think, and they said that the EPA's changed some of those qualifications, so we were able to qualify now, and so we're getting back into that. So that's, I think, starts June 1st, or did start June 1st. So this just has a few of our additional accomplishments. We rebuilt the Hool pump completely, tore it all the way down, and rebuilt that to try to get some more years. Even though we do have that new floating sludge pump system, we're gonna keep our tractor and that Hooley pump because it's a little more portable, and we can move it around the lagoon a little easier to mix if we need it. We had the main building, we had the lower roof replaced last year. Our newest operator, Isaiah, which I had mentioned before, he passed his class 1 this past year. A side note, he's also getting married this Saturday. And so we ran over 3,000 samples in our lab there at the plant. We run anywhere from like temperature, pH, CBODs, ammonias, solids, was suspended in total, and E. coli's. We also completed our DMRQA sampling in 25 without any hits on that, it's something that the EPA makes us do each year. They send us samples with values that they know, but we don't. We have to run them, and then we submit those numbers, and if we're within a certain range, we pass. And thankfully we passed, and we really haven't had a whole lot of issues with that. So One last thing I wanted to mention is the downspout removal program. That's still a thing. So if you have downspouts that go into the ground or you don't know where they go, if you give us a call, one of us from the plant, myself or Nick, usually can come out and identify or help you try to identify where they go. And if they are tied into the city sewer, there's the grant program that can reimburse you up to $1,000 to remove those. I think that is the last slide. Yep, that's it. So, pending any questions, thank you.
I just have a couple things, Kevin. Thank you for all you do. I don't know if people realize that you guys are on call like 24/7, because if the electric goes out, if there's a lightning strike or something, you get an alarm go off on your phone telling you something's wrong, then you're out of bed and you're running to work, no matter what day, time, or anything. So that a lot of people don't realize that. They just think you go to work and you come home and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's more than that.
Yeah, one nice thing too about the 21 upgrade, like I had mentioned, the generator was upgraded. So the old generator was a manually transferred one. So if we had an alarm for a power outage, we'd have to go out, usually in terrible weather, and get that generator running, where this one will manually transfer to the generator. And when it notices stable power back on, it'll transfer back to normal power. So that's been really nice.
That's good. And it's very technical. If you paid attention to all those numbers and all the reporting that you have to do with the EPA and testing and all that, it's very technical. So you guys have to go through licensure training and to be able to do all of that stuff that you do. So yeah. I appreciate all of the extra work that goes into that. So thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Did you say it was Isaac?
Isaiah.
Isaiah, yes,
Yeah.
Congratulations. He's getting married Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Exciting. But yes, I echo the mayor's comments of thank you very much for all that you do. That does not go unnoticed by us, and we very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for Kevin? Yes.
Just make a quick comment. I had visitors in Tiffin over the weekend, and we have lots of stuff, good stuff to show in town. But one of the things I showed was where the water treatment plant was, and then we actually looked at the outflow going into the river. And I says, now compare that to the inflow on Ellis Street, and it's amazing to see how much cleaner the water was there. And we checked out the Lambeth too, so that was pretty cool. Lots of good stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming tonight.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
And that concludes my report.
All right. Clerk of Council, Ann Forrest.
No report, Madam President.
Director of Finance, Joe Lindhorst.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a request for legislation tonight, F26-14, to amend the 2026 budget ordinance 25-98. This is to appropriate $150 to the police department for a donation received by Tiffin Brake and Wheel Incorporated, and $40 to Parks and Recreation Department for a donation received by Stephen and Beverly Lepard. I also have the May 31st, 2026 Director of Finance report. The total receipts for the month, $4,612,587.65. Total expenses for the month, $4,902,055.27. The general fund unencumbered balance, $5,342,275.16. The income tax receipts for May 2026 were $1,060,662.97. The total increase in income tax receipts in May 2026 compared to May 2025 is $119,808.83. Year-to-date income tax receipts are down 3.14%. The quarter% portion of income tax receipts that was transferred into Fund 215 for public streets for May 2026 is $131,759.35. The portion of income tax receipts that was transferred into Fund 331 for capital improvements for May 2026 is $92,890.36. The unexpended balance for all funds is $45,822,288.78, which is the same as the bank balances for the same time period. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Reesner.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to accept the Finance Director's report for month ending May 31st, 2026.
And the bank
In the Bank and
reconciliation.
Reconciliation.
Thank you. There's a motion to accept the Finance Director's report and bank reconciliation for the month of May. Is there a second? Councilmember Hayes.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Director of Law, Zach Fowler.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Just two things. One, just give you an update. You all had passed to amend the pay schedule so that we would have a pay rate for an intern. And we did select that intern who applied, Colton Price, so he'll start with us on Monday. But just thank you all for that and letting us get going with him. It will be nice because we need an extra set of hands, so to speak, just to work through that volume. So I appreciate that. And then one other thing you might have seen, I don't know which one of you all get the Ohio Municipal League alerts in their legislative reports, but there was an addition back in March 966 to the revised code D that talked about confidentiality for any information related to an application for financial assistance. The mayor, city administrator, myself, I think finance director, others sat through a seminar just last week through the OML talking about the scope of this and how broad this is going to be. And this is going to make really a great impact on any of those CRAs or really any other financial assistance requests, whether it's a loan, a grant that came to the city. Fortunately, the General Assembly has acted quickly and has an amendment that's been through the House and the Senate and is, as best I know, still sitting on the governor's desk, might have been signed, but they have tweaked that so that it is now just limited to payroll information and individualized compensation information. So it really narrows the scope. So for example, we get a CRA application that will have financial information on that. It's only that payroll information, like that salary information, that will be confidential. Everything else about that would not be. So it does not overly complicate the process for when those do come to council. So a little bit of good news there. I think was the appropriate change that was needed, but very helpful. And that was all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the Law Director? Okay, we are now under written communications.
We have Mayor's request for legislation number 26-25, traffic and pedestrian signal improvements at Teakwood Drive and West Market Street.
Thank you. Mayor's request for legislation number 26-25 is assigned to the Street, Sidewalks, and Sewers Committee.
Mayor's request for legislation number 26-26, fire rescue repeal residency requirements, codified ordinance 143.07.
Mayor's request for legislation number 26-26 is assigned to the Personnel and Labor Relations Committee.
Mayor's request for legislation number 26-27, advertise for bids and enter into a construction contract for the Shawn Avenue and Second Avenue sewer replacement project.
Mayor's request for legislation number 26-27 is assigned to the Street, Sidewalks, and Sewers Committee.
And Finance Director's request for legislation number F 26-14 to amend the 2026 Budget Ordinance 25-98 to appropriate funds in the General Fund and Parks and Recreation.
Finance Director's request for legislation number F 26-14 is prepared this evening as ordinance 26-44.
And that concludes the written communications.
Thank you. We are now under oral communication, so anyone wishing to address council may step to the podium, sign in, and direct their questions to me.
Good evening. Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
You're just fine, okay. My name is Kurt Malott. I am the president here locally of Tiffin Big Sticks, which is our local Little League. I'm also the president of the Tiffin Honor Games in Tiffin. We're a 501c3 that raises money for local military veterans, service members, et cetera. We do a lot with youth sports. We do a lot with youth baseball, a lot with youth softball. What I'd like to do tonight is kind of revisit some things that I know you folks have seen and at least maybe scratch the surface with the feasibility study and some of the things that were presented. And kind of want to kind of walk through a pathway of kind of where things have been. I'm 52 years old in my life and kind of where things have been going and kind of see the gaps with where we're at and what we're feeling on our end. So long time ago, I was a graduate of Columbia in 1992. During that time, youth sports was flourishing. We had various leagues in town. We had various things going on with both baseball, softball. You had a lot of adult leagues going on. Things have changed. Came back to town right around 1999, 2000, and things just look different. And they look different for a variety of reasons because youth sports were quite frankly fading in not only our town, but in a lot of towns in the early to mid 2000s. The way we used to know them was dying, but for the reasons that we thought were maybe the fault of the leagues, and I will definitely say they were not the fault of the leagues, kids nationally were starting to pivot to a different model, which is more of a travel, a club. They wanted more bang for their buck, if you will. The National Machinery League wasn't good enough, we're going to say. And again, I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying that's what started to occur. You see people going to the club sports, the AAUs, et cetera. So kids and families started going away from the traditional sports leagues. Hometown leagues started to die, and you saw a shift more to that. And then secondly, parents were then saying, how can I train my kids better? So then you were starting to see the rise of program-based sports through schools. So here in Seneca County, we have the Seneca County Youth Baseball Association. We have the Santa Hawaiian Association. These are local entities that take school-based programs, Tiffin Calvert, Tiffin Columbia, New Riggle, Old Fort, et cetera, and they play them in the variety of these sports. This domino effect, and really that's what it was, could be seen in the focus on youth sports or the loss of the adult-based leagues. No longer at the park could you go and see softball. You couldn't see men's baseball. Co-ed sports were dying. Golf leagues were dying because people were putting their money into their kids, quite frankly. I did it. People put their money into their kids. And when this started to happen, you could see the boom. So nationally, starting in 2010, youth sports had risen by 55%, which is nearly 60 million kids participate currently in some version of a youth sport or a club sport at the travel level. That's huge. Our town is and was no different. Our kids wanted to do everything else that their buddies were doing at their schools. Our kids wanted that same opportunity. They wanted travel. They wanted facilities, they wanted training, they wanted opportunities. In 2015, Big Sticks started as a school-based model. We started with 58 boys in 2015. In 2025, last year, we had 275 boys and girls, and then this year, we're up to 285 kids across 22 teams, nearly a 400% growth. If you would include the Calvert kids as well, that K through 8 range, and that's all I'm talking, is K through 8, that's 450 kids. Hands down, we are probably the largest youth organization, not only in our city, but in the county as well. With that being said, our resources just don't match our interest. And that's what I'm really here to talk about tonight. We've been doing more with less literally daily. It's really taken a toll on our facilities and the ability to operate effectively. Here are the real numbers for you. This year alone, we're going to have 180 games at Hedges Boyer Park, Oakley Park, Columbian Softball Field. Weekly, we'll have on average 60 practices scheduled from early March until the season begins. Some coaches continue to practice, some kind of pull off a little bit, but we have to try to find between 60 and 75 practice slots. The other day, we had 8 home games to prepare for. Now, Bryce and his crew do a phenomenal job as best as they can, but besides mowing the grass, we do the rest because we have to make sure it gets done. We love the ability to utilize the local parks and the facilities, but be really frank, they're just maxed out. And we need some solutions that make sense. I know the feasibility study was done. I was a part of the group that kind of helped some of that stuff. And I want to say to the council, I'm just very appreciative to the fact that you did that. I think that brought some great numbers, but really it wasn't a feasibility study about hedges. It was a feasibility study about your town, our town. And it said, we have some solutions. We have some financial gains, and the numbers are quite astronomical. $5 million to the region annually, 100 jobs to the region annually, $150,000 profit by year 4, and then 35 to 40,000 visitors to the area. Also, 17,000 people need hotel rooms. Again, it's a study, not saying it's a gospel, but that's what they get paid to do. I understand, I appreciate and respect everything about hedges. I get it. It's not the ideal location. I'm not here for that, but are we going to find it? Are we going to help our kids? Are we going to help our community financially? I'm not a math teacher. I was more science, but that's a pretty big win. I think we need to start looking for some solutions because if we don't, other people will. 2 weeks ago, we hosted the Tiffin Honor Games here in town. We have grown from 10 teams in 2025 to 39 teams in 2026. Add in the high school teams, it was actually 45. That was across 73 games at Oakley Park, Calvert Catholic Fields, Tiffin Columbian High School, and obviously Hedges Boyer Park. The one thing I want to make sure the council hears is we had tons of compliments about our town, about our parks, about all the things that we were doing. We are not there to gouge people. We're there to help the veterans. We did not charge gate fees, which, by the way, this weekend, my daughter, my wife, my other daughter went to North Ridgeville for a softball tournament. $30 for the weekend for each one of us. That was $90 for our family. The other 8 girls from Seneca County and their families, that was over $400 that left our community just in gate fees. A lot of places also charge for parking. That might be $20 for the weekend. At our event, with what we were able to do, we raised last year $17,000 for the honor bus. This year it's going to be closer to $30,000 for the honor bus. If we would have gouged, it would have probably been closer to $50,000. Mind you, that's one weekend, one tournament, one date. More importantly, we want people to enjoy our town. The restaurants, the bars, local offerings of hospitality. Here's the only complaint I heard. I wish you guys could do this at one location. This would be awesome. My answer is I would agree. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming tonight. Has this been discussed with at city administration? Any more as far as like the update that he provided, or is that not new to you all as well?
Well, as he alluded to, like the location is one of the big challenges that we have to overcome. So Hedges Boyer Park down there in the floodplain with the flooding that occurred this spring, it just kind of reinforced that that might not be the best location. The other challenge is then the cost. So the company that Bryce was working with, what were they called? Synergy Sports. Synergy Sports, they had a plan to finance the facility if we had the location, but that kind of puts the city on the hook for at least the first few years until it becomes profitable. And we're just not in a position to do that at this point in time.
Okay. Makes sense.
So those are two big challenges, the location and the funding.
Does anyone else have any thoughts, questions, comments? Okay. Okay. Well, again, I appreciate you coming to council this evening, and I appreciate the update. Certainly want to help find a solution if that's possible. Okay, we are under motions this evening. There are motions, Councilmember Hayes.
Yes, I'd like to motion to amend ordinance 2026-38 to add an emergency provision to the ordinance.
Thank you. There's a motion to amend ordinance 26-38 to include an emergency within the ordinance. Is there a second? Councilmember Reesner.
I'll second the motion, Madam President.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Hayes.
This is just to align with the timeline of selling the properties and having the easements on as soon as possible so that the property transfer can take place.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are now under resolutions and ordinances.
We have no resolutions this evening. Ordinance number 2026-37, introduced by John Hayes. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to negotiate, accept, and enter into a sanitary sewer easement with Trilogy Real Estate Tiffin LLC.
Thank you. This is the second reading of ordinance 26-37.
Amended ordinance number 2026-38, introduced by John Hayes. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to negotiate, accept, and enter into a sanitary and stormwater sewer easement with Seneca Industrial and Economic Development Corporation and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the second reading of amended ordinance 26-38. Councilmember Hayes.
Yes, I'd like to motion for immediate passage of amended ordinance 2026-38, suspending council's 3 reading rule.
Thank you. There's a motion to suspend council's 3 reading rule and immediate passage of ordinance 26-38. Is there a second? Councilmember Reesner.
I'll second the motion, Madam President.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Hayes.
Yep, as I just discussed, it's the property transfer is nearing, and we were asked to pass this tonight, and so that it can go into effect. The easements can be there, and we don't have to worry about ownership changing to get the easements in place.
Thank you. All right, we will first vote on the suspension.
Councilmember Horniman.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
Dougherty.
Yes.
Decker.
Yes.
And Hayes.
Yes.
Suspension passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Horniman.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
Dougherty.
Yes.
Decker.
Yes.
And Hayes.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Horniman.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
Dougherty.
Yes.
Decker.
Yes.
And Hayes.
Yes.
Ordinance 26-38 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 2026-41, introduced by Kevin Reesner. An ordinance adopting a tax budget for fiscal year 2027, directing the Director of Finance to deliver the budget to the Seneca County auditors, and declaring an emergency.
This is the second reading of ordinance 26-41.
Ordinance number 2026-42, introduced by Kevin Reesner. An ordinance amending the 2026 budget ordinance 2025-98 to appropriate funds into the general fund and street maintenance fund.
Sorry, this is the second reading of ordinance 26-41. I'm sorry, I just lost my place.
Ordinance number 2026-43.
Thank you.
Introduced by Kyle Dougherty. An ordinance declaring improvements to a certain parcel of real property to be a public purpose and exempt from taxation, describing the public improvements to be made to directly benefit such parcel, requiring the owner of the improvements on such parcel to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of such service payments and related authorizations pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 5709.40, 5709.42, and 5709.43, and declaring an emergency.
It's the first reading of ordinance 26-43.
Ordinance number 2026-44, introduced by Kevin Reesner. An ordinance amending the 2026 budget ordinance 2025-98 to appropriate funds into the general fund and Parks and Recreation Fund.
This is the first reading of ordinance 26-44. Do you have something, Councilmember Reeser?
Thank you, Madam President. Move for immediate passage of ordinance 2026-44, suspending city council's 3 reading rule.
Okay, there's a motion to suspend council's 3 reading rule and immediate passage of ordinance 26-44. Is there a second? Councilmember Snee.
I'd like to second that motion, Madam President.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Reeser.
Thank you, Madam President. Go ahead and, since these are donations, I'll go ahead and suspend the 3 reading rule. The special thank you to Tiffin Brake and Wheel for the donation, and also Stephen and Beverly Leopard.
Thank you. We will first vote on the suspension.
Councilmember Horniman.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
Dougherty.
Yes.
Decker.
Yes.
And Hayes.
Yes.
Suspension passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Horniman.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
Dougherty.
Yes.
Decker.
Yes.
And Hayes.
Yes.
Ordinance 26-44 passes with a vote of 7-0. Okay, we are now under other business. Councilmember Hayes.
Yes, I'd like to ask about meeting with street sidewalk sewers next Monday at 5:15, council chambers, if that's okay with you four, administration. Okay, in that case, we'll announce a street sidewalks and sewers committee meeting next Monday to discuss mayor's request for legislation 26-25 and mayor's request for legislation 26-27 take place in council chambers at 5:15 p.m.
Thank you. Decker.
Yes, I would like to announce a personnel and labor relations meeting directly following the streets and sidewalks meeting to discuss mayor's request for legislation 26-26.
Thank you. Any other business to come before council this evening? All right, well, thank you. We can adjourn.